Today, Nicaragua. Finca El Pastoral. Quite nice. Got a nice little sharp acidity to it, but also that rich, chocolatey thing that I can't go without in a coffee. Too much of this rubbishy, fruity coffee around these days. This is good. Nicaragua. I would recommend it. Alright then. On the stereo today, I give you a fairly cultured mix of music, I like to think, here. But today we're going down to ground level. Mr. 50 Cent. Curtis? Is that his name? Curtis Jackson? I think that's his name. In the club. I mean, it's good music to work to. You don't have to actually think too much about writing and all that crazy stuff. It's pretty good. I like it. Right, I'm opening up my chat app here. What should I show you today? I know. The same I always show you. The next in a series of little presentations of exciting news that have been coming out. Can you see? That gives it away somewhat, doesn't it? It's a short story in Turkish. Ollie Richards, short stories in Turkish for beginners. Read for pleasure at your level and then Turkish the fun way. Now, I have to say, when I first started these series of short stories, I didn't think necessarily that Turkish would be up there, but I am pleased that it is. Because Turkish is a huge language, more and more people learning it, and how about that for a cover as well? Stands out, right? I showed you earlier, what did I show you earlier on this week? Dutch is a more standard cover. Turkish, we got a nice moody cover, a bit like the garish Brazilian Portuguese one. It had to be yellow, I guess. Turkish is really looking really nice. We've got illustrations as normal, and I'll show you a little bit of the inside, so you can see how it looks. For those of you who don't speak Turkish, this will be complete gibberish, but for those of you who do, well, hopefully this is an exciting addition to the short story series, available on Amazon. You can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/books to check these out. iwillteachyoualanguage.com/books. Christmas is almost here. Can you believe it? Little by little. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Asil is learning Turkish. Awesome. Hi, Camilla. Hi, Helen. Good to see you all here. Lots of people on this live stream today. This must be a good time of day to do it. It's 3 p.m. here in the UK. End of the afternoon already. Getting dark. That's what happens over here. Right then, I got a question today from Christine. This is a nice question, this one. Christine says, "Hey guys, I'm learning French from scratch, an absolute beginner." Good on you, Christine. I know the importance of immersing ourselves in the target language every day, especially listening comprehension. But the problem is, I wouldn't understand anything if I, say, watch French videos or listen to the radio. Should I just listen to them anyway? Or should I start with super easy materials? Great question, huh? How about that for a question? So to summarize Christine's question, she's learning French from scratch, so she's a beginner. And whenever she tries to watch videos or listen to the radio, she doesn't understand a thing. So should you do it? Is it useful? Right. So my big thing with listening comprehension is it should be comprehensible. You need to be able to at the very least follow the gist, because otherwise you're just listening to stuff you don't understand. Now, like as you say, Christine, one of the most important things about language acquisition is constant immersion and exposure to the language, because a language is a huge thing, and you need to get hours and hours and hours, hundreds, thousands of hours of exposure to it if you're ever going to learn. That stands to reason, right? And the thing with that is that you can there's listening and there's listening. I always remember, like, back when I was at music college, one of the things that I noticed was that I would have friends who would spend everyone would practice a lot, right, in music college, and I had friends who would, like, two friends who would spend equal amounts of time in their practice rooms at university, at music college. One person would just get super good and super successful. The other person would hardly improve at all. That's despite practicing the same number of hours. That's because, like, with any skill, like not all practice is equal. You can spend that same amount of time practicing, but that doesn't mean you'll necessarily get the same results. You won't. So the way that we listen and the way that we study languages is more important really than the amount of time you spend doing it. And for anybody who says like, oh, I just don't have enough time, I can never study for long enough. Well, actually, the most effective thing you can do in that situation is actually just try to study better with the same amount of time that you've got. Anyway, with listening, if you listen to the radio as a beginner, you won't understand anything, and there's not much benefit to it. There you go. So, I've said it, I've laid it out. There is not much benefit to watching videos or listening to the radio in your target language when you're a complete beginner. Now, obviously, it's not harmful, and lots of people would say that kind of passive exposure, well, it's good to have, right? It's better to do that than to be listening in your mother tongue. But I think it's a mistake to confuse that with an activity that's really going to drive you forward. So for listening comprehension, what you've got to be doing is listening to stuff that's at your level. So if you're a beginner, you want to be listening to material that has been created for a beginner and is at that level or slightly higher. Because then if you can already understand some of it, and you need to understand at least 50%. If you can understand that 50%, then you're in territory where you can start to pick up other words organically and naturally, and that's where you really like understand and learn those words. Seriously, Leslie. Hey, Leslie. Hola a todos. Hola, Leslie. ¿Cómo estás? And so where was I? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you've got to be able to understand really at least 50% of what you're listening to. Otherwise, not only is it boring, a real chore, but it's also frustrating because you realise you don't understand anything that you're listening to, and we need to be trying to do language activities that are positive and give us that positive feedback loop, right? So as a complete beginner, what should you be doing? Well, as a complete beginner, you're in this chicken and egg situation where you can't really listen because you don't understand anything, but then because you don't understand anything, you can't listen, right? So what do you do? As a real beginner, you've got to, I think, go through a period of studying total beginner study material. So that means using your textbooks. That means finding very, very simple dialogues or stories, such as my books that are written for beginners, where you can, you've got material that's at a level that's just about possible to understand, even if you're a complete beginner, and spend your time with that material. Right. So I think if I was going to learn a language right from the beginning, where I didn't know a similar language, so it was a new kind of language family, I didn't know any other similar languages. I mean, the first thing I would do for the first month or so would be to get a textbook in the language and simply go through the textbook from beginning to end, because you've got to get yourself a foundation. So get the foundation, figure out the basic grammar, learn some of the basic vocabulary. Like you've got to do that little bit of initial study. But then very quickly, you want to be moving on to stuff like this, right? So it's short stories which are written at a level that you can understand. And, obviously if you try and read a book like this as a beginner, it's going to be difficult. But the volume of content is what's really, really important. So you're going through and you are just exposing yourself to way more language than you could ever get from a textbook, and that's the key. Most people, the big mistake they make is they stick to textbooks, and they're getting very controlled nuggets of language, which kind of makes it easier to digest, but you never cover anywhere near as much as you need to, right? That's why you've got to start reading extensively, really like complete stories and books and things like that. And you just got to make sure that it's at a level that you can manage. So I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention my uncovered courses here, because ideally what you would do in an ideal world is that you would be going through your beginner textbook whilst also doing a lot of listening, and that's the entire focus of my uncovered courses. So in the case of French, if you go to FrenchUncovered.com, then you can find that. You've got the textbook type stuff there, but you're also listening and reading to an entire story throughout the course. The whole course is based on a story. So not only are you learning the basics, but you're also getting a lot of listening practice at your level. That's why I made those courses. And again, that the reason I mentioned that is just to kind of support the point of, you've got to do more than just study that just learn the grammar rules and lists of words. You've got to get out of that somehow and give your brain more food to grow on. Got a question here from WhatsApp and Fan. Liked and shared. First time here. Cool, thank you. I've learned some Espanol, but I'm so busy with YouTube trying to get watch time. I really don't have the time. Just wanted to come to show support. You're so busy with YouTube. Oh, yeah. Well, that's well. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the sharing. I mean, language learning, like anything, like YouTube, whatever. It's about having that dedicated time every day. These live videos I do here, like these are fairly new for me, and they take time, right? I don't know how long this has been going for now. 10 minutes. Takes me a little bit of time to prepare to figure out a question. Got to make my coffee. Got to decide what book I'm going to show you. All this stuff. I mean, this it takes time, right? But every day, if I do it every day, hopefully the idea is that more people can watch it, more people can start to follow. We've got 58 people watching this right now. That's awesome. So even if you're super busy with a bunch of other stuff, it's about just carving that time out every day. One of the most basic pieces of time management advice for anybody who wants to get anything done, whether it's to start a YouTube channel or write a book or learn a language like Brazilian Portuguese, it's just get up half an hour earlier and make that first half an hour of your day the you time, right? Everybody can do that. There's really no excuse not to do that. And small amounts of time over time really add up, don't they? So I think that's all I got for you today. Christine, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to tag you here. Hey, Jonathan, quick question for you. If you're quick, you might get it in before I hit the finish button. Christine, thank you for the question. I'll tag you here. Hopefully that's given you some ideas to go on. And Nicaragua, I recommend it. Finca El Pastoral. I got it in Monmouth Coffee in central London. Monmouth. If you guys are anyone in London, go to Monmouth. Nespresso is all, okay, it's fine, but Monmouth Coffee, that's what it's all about. Lovely. Jonathan, I know you want to ask a question, but I'm afraid you're out of time. Ask in the Facebook group, Ollie Richards Fluency Mastermind. I will get back to you. Thank you for listening, everybody, and good luck. Bonne chance. Christine, avec votre français. And I'll see you soon.